Did you know that menopause and andropause can transform your sex life? And that with the right strategies, you can live an even more fulfilling, happy, and fulfilled phase? In this video, we will talk without taboos about hormonal changes, how they affect intimacy, and, most importantly, how to overcome them with information, affection, and attitude. Get ready to reconnect with yourself and discover that sexuality has no expiration date, it just changes. Leave a comment saying, "My story has no age," and join this community of love and support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss any content designed especially for you. Have you ever noticed how certain changes happen so subtly that before we know it, our intimate life seems to have taken on a different rhythm? First, there's that feeling that our body reacts differently, the sudden heat that runs through our chest, the skin that changes from one second to the next, the heartbeat that accelerates without warning. Then come the silent questions. Is this normal? And the desire to pretend that nothing has changed. Some people feel uncomfortable just imagining talking about sex after 50, as if the calendar hanging on the wall decreed the end of pleasure. However, what science shows and experience confirms is exactly the opposite. Sexuality can flourish, mature, and become much deeper precisely now, when we carry decades of stories, affections, and self-knowledge. At this point in life, women face menopause, that invisible milestone that announces the end of menstrual cycles, and men face the gradual drop in testosterone, the much-talked-about andropause. Both processes involve hormonal fluctuations that can influence desire, mood, energy, and, of course, sexual response. It is common for women to experience vaginal dryness, hot flashes, changes in lubrication and sensitivity. Men may experience reduced penile rigidity, changes in erotic interest, and even irritability. There are also emotions that dance behind each symptom: anxiety about the unknown, fear of not living up to their partner's expectations, fear of being judged, and often, difficulty recognizing in the mirror who we have always been. The good news is that this entire metamorphosis does not need to be faced as a solitary battle. Clear information, frank dialogue, and self-care transform what seems like an obstacle into a starting point for a more conscious connection. Imagine a couple who met when they were young, raised children, paid bills, and grew old side by side, but never stopped to talk frankly about fantasies or limits. Menopause arrives, her desire fluctuates, her body asks for more time to get aroused, and he feels confused because, for the first time, the chemistry that always worked no longer responds as quickly as before. At that moment, two paths open up. The first is silence that feeds insecurities. She thinks she is no longer desired. He fears it is his fault, and the distance grows. The second is honest conversation, telling how each sensation has changed, asking for affection without shame, discovering touches that previously did not attract attention, alternating rhythms, positions, spaces, and fantasies. Studies show that couples who choose to talk report higher levels of satisfaction, intimacy, and emotional well-being in adulthood. Speaking of studies, it is worth remembering that the drop in estrogen levels in women can reduce vaginal irrigation. However, water or silicone-based lubricants and daily moisturizing creams restore comfort and sensitivity. For many, a short hormone replacement therapy protocol, prescribed by a trusted gynecologist, alleviates hot flashes, helps with lubrication, and improves the quality of sleep. For men, moderate aerobic exercise and resistance training take care of blood circulation, which is essential for healthy erections. The pelvic floor muscles, yes, the ones that contract when we hold in urine, benefit both sexes. They strengthen the region, intensify orgasms, and prevent incontinence. Have you ever thought about practicing fast and slow contractions while brushing your teeth? It is simple, free, and effective. But sexual health is not limited to hormones. A colorful, varied diet rich in antioxidants maintains the body's balance. Red fruits, dark green leaves, and fish rich in omega-3 help in the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that dilates blood vessels and promotes genital response. Nuts, such as walnuts and chestnuts, provide minerals that participate in the synthesis of neurotransmitters linked to pleasure. And water, lots of water, because hydration directly influences the elasticity of tissues, including those involved in intimacy. In addition to a nutrient-rich table, daily exercise is key. You don't need to become an Olympic athlete. Just walk, cycle, dance to your favorite music in the living room, do yoga, or do gentle stretching. Exercise releases endorphins, reduces cortisol, increases testosterone, protects the heart, and, as a bonus, increases self-confidence, an essential ingredient in your sex life. Those who discover the pleasure of moving their bodies feel more alive, receptive to touch, and the exchange of affection. Another forgotten pillar is the mind. Chronic stress, anxiety, and depression sabotage libido regardless of age. Conscious breathing techniques, guided meditation, or even a few pages in a journal at dawn can relieve internal tensions. Psychotherapists specializing in sexuality offer tools to reframe old beliefs, overcome traumas, and build kinder narratives about one's own body. Support groups, whether in person or online, reinforce the perception that challenges are common and shared. The simple act of hearing someone say, "It happens to me too," breaks down walls of shame. It is worth remembering that sexual relations in old age are not limited to penetration. Intimate touch, prolonged kisses, aromatic massages, and verbal seduction games awaken powerful sensations, often prolonging the caresses, exploring new erogenous zones, and slowing down results in more intense orgasms and fuller experiences. Discreet vibrators, soft penis rings, and hot or cold sensation gel can become fun allies in the exploration of pleasure. Buying these items together or talking about them without feeling guilty strengthens complicity. The rule is mutual respect, consent, and curiosity. For those who live alone, sexuality continues to be a vast universe. Masturbation is not a substitute for anything. It is a legitimate way to get to know your body, release feel-good hormones, and maintain healthy genital tissues. Research indicates that people who masturbate regularly have better self-esteem and a lower incidence of sexual dysfunction when they start new relationships. Therefore, allowing yourself moments of pleasure alone, without rushing and without guilt, prepares the emotional ground for future romantic bonds. Now consider the impact of social relationships on intimate health. Prolonged loneliness increases levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, which interferes with the production of testosterone and estrogen. Therefore, cultivating friendships, participating in dance groups, volunteering, or taking cooking classes fosters a sense of belonging. Shared laughter, idle chatter in the evening, and sincere hugs release oxytocin, a substance nicknamed the bonding hormone, which promotes relaxation and emotional openness. And when we are emotionally open, desire flows more naturally. However, solutions are not always simple. Some women suffer from persistent pain during penetration, a condition called dyspareunia. In these cases, pelvic physiotherapists offer muscle relaxation and biofeedback techniques that reduce discomfort. Men who face impotence now have options such as oral medications, vacuum therapy, and, as a last resort, high-tech penile prostheses. Solutions exist. The challenge is to overcome the embarrassment and seek qualified help. Remember, health professionals are used to dealing with these issues and can guide safe choices. Another sensitive issue involves body image. The mirror reveals wrinkles, gray hair, and changing curves. Instead of seeing signs of decline, these marks can be interpreted as trails along the path we have taken. Each line carries stories of overcoming, laughter, tears, and change. Accepting your real body does not mean giving up on self-care. It means choosing comfortable clothes that enhance your personality, cultivating habits that bring vitality, and speaking to yourself with respect. When we treat ourselves with affection, we allow others to do the same. It is also worth discussing cultural expectations. For a long time, society has sold the idea that eroticism is only for young people. Movies, advertisements, and social media reinforce images of standardized bodies. However, data from research institutes shows that more than 60% of adults over 60 are sexually active, and a large portion report greater satisfaction than when they were younger. Maturity brings freedom to define preferences, abandon performance pressures, and explore previously repressed desires. If you are in a long-term relationship, try to schedule romantic dates like you did in the beginning. A special dinner, a short trip, or simply turning off your cell phone to talk while looking into each other's eyes can rekindle the flame. Write notes, compliment details that usually go unnoticed, and reminisce about happy memories. Small gestures combined create an atmosphere conducive to physical affection. If you are starting a new romance, set clear boundaries and prioritize sexual health checkups. Using condoms is still essential to prevent infections, regardless of age. Speaking of prevention, consider getting regular checkups. Blood glucose, blood pressure, and lipid profile tests help identify factors that can impair erectile function or lubrication. Cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and hypertension affect blood vessels and nerves, impacting pleasure. Controlling these conditions with medical monitoring, a balanced diet and physical activity improves mood and overall quality of life, which is reflected in intimacy. Getting enough sleep is equally crucial. Studies have linked sleep deprivation to hormonal imbalances, irritability, and reduced libido. Create a nighttime ritual, dim lights, light reading, and a comfortable temperature in the bedroom. Avoid late-night coffee and bright screens that inhibit melatonin. Little by little, your body will get used to relaxing, and your mind will wake up refreshed for a day that may include more spontaneous moments of intimacy. Don't forget to be creative. Sex doesn't have to follow a fixed script. Change the usual place, use aromas that stimulate good memories, create a soundtrack that invites touching. The brain is the most powerful sexual organ. Stimulating healthy fantasies, imagining romantic scenes, and verbalizing desires triggers dopamine releases that ignite pleasure even before physical contact. Laugh if something goes differently than planned. Lightness relieves tension and brings hearts closer together. Some couples find value in couples or sex therapy, where they learn mindfulness exercises, sensate, focus touch techniques, and assertive communication tools. These sessions, led by trained psychologists, provide a safe space to express fears, frustrations, and dreams. Often, just hearing that a particular problem is common and has a solution can help ease the burden. Spirituality can also play a welcoming role. Whether through religious practices, meditation, or contemplation of nature, feeling connected to something greater increases the sense of belonging and serenity. This inner peace is reflected in a greater willingness for intimate contact. When the heart finds purpose, the body relaxes and pleasure gains depth. It is worth emphasizing that this entire journey requires patience. Results appear gradually. Celebrating small victories, a peaceful night's sleep, a conversation without embarrassment, a walk that ends in a hug, builds confidence. Acknowledge each progress, even if it seems subtle. Little by little, the sum of daily gestures creates a rich and satisfying emotional life. For those who care for someone going through intense menopause or health treatment, empathy is essential. Offer a listening ear, ask how you can help, respect moments of indisposition. A loving partnership includes sharing fears and joys on an equal footing. When care is mutual, a complicity emerges that transcends any hormonal changes. On the other hand, if you feel invisible or undervalued, seek out support networks. Community centers, senior groups, and online communities dedicated to sexual health provide up-to-date information and support. When you realize that others are going through similar challenges, the shame will fade. You may be wondering if there is a right age to start over. The answer is simple. The best time is the one you decide to. Science has documented cases of people starting full romantic and sexual relationships at 70 or 80 years old, with the enthusiasm of teenagers. There is no chronological limit to the discovery of new forms of affection. If you have lost a partner and are still grieving, respect its rhythm. Healing does not come from comparisons. Little by little, life shows signs that it is possible to feel joy again. When this happens, allow yourself to open doors to intimacy, keeping the memory of the person who left as part of your history, not as a barrier to the future. It is also important to talk about consent. Any sexual activity should be free, desired, and pleasurable for everyone involved. Clear communication about limits, preferences, and comfort avoids embarrassment and builds trust. Asking, "Do you like this?" or "Can I continue?" shows care and respect. Now imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling inspired to take that first step. It could be making an appointment with a specialist, taking a 10-minute walk around the block, buying fresh fruit, or simply looking in the mirror and saying, "My body deserves love." Every small action adds up to the mosaic of holistic health. Remember that change doesn't happen in isolation. If you adopt a nutritious diet, exercise regularly, and practice relaxation, you'll notice your mood improve, your energy levels rise, and your desire for new experiences grows. This virtuous cycle builds confidence, which boosts your sex life. At the end of the day, the essential message remains: aging is a privilege, and sexuality is part of that privilege. Menopause and andropause do not end the romance. They simply invite us to discover new chapters. With reliable information, consistent self-care, and openness to dialogue, it is possible to experience pleasure, intimacy, and affection in all the colors that maturity offers. If this content has sparked reflection, share it with someone who might need to hear these words. Spreading knowledge liberates, welcomes, and transforms trajectories. And if you want to share your experience, write in the comments. My story has no age. You can inspire those who are still seeking the courage to live their own journey. May each of us find the strength to honor our own bodies, celebrate the years we have lived, and embrace today, because the best thing in life is always now. If this content touched your heart or opened your eyes to something new, share it with someone you love. Together, we can transform lives. And tell me in the comments, do you believe that love and pleasure have an age? I would love to read your story.